10 underrated Straw Hat moments in One Piece. Most people remember One Piece for the massive moment, the transformations, the final attacks, the fights that shake entire island. And yeah, those moments are incredible. But the scenes that stay with people forever usually aren't the loudest ones. They're quieter than that. A goodbye, a promise, a breakdown, a single line spoken at the exact right moment. Scenes where nobody is trying to look cool, yet somehow become unforgettable anyway. Because underneath all the adventure and chaos, One Piece has always been a story about emotional connection, about people carrying pain for years and slowly finding others who help them keep moving forward. That's why the Straw Hats feel different from most anime. They don't just fight together, they save each other emotionally. And the deeper you understand the story, the harder these moments hit.
Oder Zeph! Thank you, sir! For all the things that you've done to help me! I'll never forget your kindness!
Number 10. Sanji's goodbye. Sanji's goodbye work because almost nothing important is said direct. There's no emotional speech between him and Zeph. No dramatic monologue explaining how much they mean to each other because they already know. Everything that needed to be said was already proven through actions years earlier. Zeph fed Sanji when he was starving. He saved him when nobody else would. He sacrificed his own leg just so a child trapped beside him could survive long enough to see another day. That kind of love changes a person forever, and Sanji understands that better than anyone. Which is why he kneels before leaving the Baratie, not because he's weak, not because he's being forced to, but because gratitude that deep can't really be expressed normally. So all he can do is lower himself and say thank you. Simple words, but impossibly heavy, because behind them are years of respect, guilt, admiration, and love that Sanji never fully learned how to express openly. Number 9. The Golden Bell. People still call Skypiea a skippable arc, and honestly, that alone proves how underrated moment. Because when Luffy rings the golden bell, he isn't celebrating victory. He's finishing a story that survived for 400 years. Nolan died being remembered as a lie. History mocked him. His name became a joke passed down through generations. Meanwhile, Cricket spent his entire life diving into the ocean, trying to prove that his ancestor had told the truth. Imagine inheriting humiliation. Imagine dedicating your entire existence to clearing the name of someone the world already decided to laugh at. Then one day, a sound echoes from the sky, a bell nobody should be able to hear, and suddenly, centuries of doubt disappear in an instant. That's why the moment feels so emotional. Not because of action, not because Luffy defeats Enel, but because the truth finally reaches someone who never stopped believing in it. And the most beautiful part? Luffy doesn't even fully understand the emotional weight of what he's doing. He simply sees someone suffering and instinctively decides to help. That's who Luffy is at his core. He changes lives without even realizing it.
I'll never be defeated! King of the Pirates!
Yep!
Number 8. Zoro's oath before Mihawk. Zoro believed determination alone was enough. He was confident, focused, certain that no matter how hard things became, he could force his way forward through sheer willpower. Then Mihawk destroys that illusion completely, not just physically, mentally. For the first time, Zoro realizes the gap between his dream and reality is far greater than he imagined. The strongest swordsman in the world isn't just strong. He exists on an entirely different level. And in that moment, Zoro has two choices: break completely or rebuild himself from the ground up. What makes the scene special is what he chooses afterward. He bows his head, something Zoro almost never does lightly, not to beg for mercy, not because he's giving up, but because he's making a promise to Luffy. That's the moment where Zoro's dream stops belonging only to him. From that point onward, becoming the greatest swordsman isn't just personal ambition anymore. It becomes part of protecting the future of the crew itself. That's why every scar Zoro takes after this scene carries emotional meaning. They aren't just injuries, they're proof of devotion. Number 7. Chopper joining the crew. Chopper spent his entire life being rejected by both worlds around him. Humans saw him as a monster. Reindeer saw him as something unnatural. No matter where he went, people looked at him like he didn't belong. Then Hiluluk appeared. And for the first time in Chopper's life, someone looked beyond what he was physically and cared about who he was emotionally. That kind of acceptance changes a person forever, which is exactly why losing Hiluluk hurt so deeply. After that loss, Chopper becomes afraid of hope itself, because when you spend your whole life life alone, believing in people starts to feel dangerous. Losing hurts less when you expect nothing. So when Luffy asks him to join the crew, Chopper genuinely can't process it. Even though he wants to go, even though part of him desperately wants a family, he simply cannot believe someone would choose him willingly. But Luffy never hesitates. He doesn't care what Chopper looks like, doesn't care what society calls him, doesn't care about fear or label. To Luffy, Chopper was already one of them before Chopper even realized it himself. And when Chopper finally runs after the crew, crying uncontrollably while trying to hide how happy he is, it stops feeling like a pirate recruitment scene. It feels like someone finally finding a place where they're allowed to exist without fear.
Please help me.
Number 6. Nami asking for help. Nami carried her pain alone for years. Fear, debt, responsibility, trauma. Every single day of her life revolved around protecting her village while pretending everything was under control. She lied through the pain, smiled through the exhaustion, manipulated people because survival demanded it. But underneath all of that, she was breaking apart emotionally long before Luffy ever arrived. That's what makes the help me scene so powerful. Not because Nami cries, but because she finally stops pretending she can survive alone. Those two words represent complete vulnerability. No manipulation, no performance, no match, and Luffy understands immediately. He doesn't ask for details, doesn't demand explanations, doesn't hesitate for even a second. He simply places his hat on her head and walks forward. That gesture says everything. Trust me, I'm here now. You don't have to carry this alone anymore. And for someone like Nami, hearing that without words probably meant everything.
I'm allowed to say my wish just this once. And I want to live!
Number 5. Robin wants to live. Robin's tragedy isn't just that she lost people. It's that she eventually stopped believing she deserved to keep living at all. Her entire existence became survival. Running from island to island, watching every person who helped her disappear. Learning again and again that trusting people only leads to pain. So eventually, she accepts loneliness as something unavoidable. That's why her saying, "I want to live," feels so overwhelming emotionally. Because it isn't just an emotional breakdown, it's a choice, a decision to stop running, a decision to believe her life still has meaning, a decision to trust people again despite everything the world taught her. And for Robin, that's terrifying. Because hope becomes dangerous after enough suffering. But the Straw Hats stand there ready to declare war against the entire world government just for the chance to save her. Not because they owe her anything, but because they genuinely love her. And for someone who spent her whole life believing she was unwanted, that kind of unconditional acceptance changes everything inside a person.
Monkey D. Luffy, I challenge you to a duel!
Number 4. Usopp versus Luffy. This fight hurts differently from almost every other battle piece because there's no villain to hate, no evil mastermind manipulating events, just two people who care about each other deeply while emotionally moving in opposite directions. Luffy is thinking logically about survival, about what the crew needs if they want to continue their journey safely. Usopp is thinking emotionally. To him, the Mary isn't just wood and sails, it's proof that he belongs somewhere. And deep down, Usopp understands something terrifying. If the crew can leave the Mary behind because it's no longer useful, then maybe one day they'll leave him behind too. Because unlike the others, Usopp constantly doubts his own worth. That fear destroys him emotionally, which is why he challenges Luffy despite knowing he'll probably lose. Because losing physically hurts less than feeling abandoned by people you love. What makes the fight truly painful is that neither of them are wrong. They're both hurting, they're both scared, just don't know how to reach each other anymore.
Maybe. 海底は暗くて寂しいからな。俺たちが見届ける。
Number 3. The Going Mary's funeral. The Going Mary was never supposed to matter this much emotionally. It's a ship, wood, nails, canvas. But somehow, over time, it became part of the crew itself. It was there through every impossible escape, every celebration, every terrifying moment where survival felt impossible. And because the Straw Hats treated it with love, the Mary carried that love back to them. That's why the apology completely destroys people emotionally. Fire, not funeral, not even the goodbye itself. The apology. Because even while falling apart, the Mary wasn't sad for itself. It was sad because because it couldn't carry them farther. And suddenly the crew realizes something heartbreaking. They thought they had been protecting the ship all this time, but in reality, the ship had been protecting them too. That realization changes the scene from sad to unforgettable. Number 2, the Straw Hat separation. Until Baratie, the Straw Hats feel unstoppable. No matter how impossible things become, they always survive somehow. Then Kuma appears, and suddenly the story changes completely. One by one, the crew disappears. No explanation, no strategy, no way to stop it. And the most painful part is watching Luffy fail in real time. He tries to save them, tries to stop Kuma, tries desperately to hold everything together, but nothing works. For the first time in the story, Luffy experiences true helplessness, not defeat, helplessness. And there's something deeply terrifying about seeing someone who always protects others realize he can't protect anyone at all. By the time Luffy screams for the last remaining crew member, you already know it's over. And that silence afterward feels horrifying, because for the first time since the journey began, Luffy is completely alone.
嘘だ。約束したじゃねえかよ。お前、絶対死なねえって言ったじゃねえかよ。
Number 1, Straw Hat reacting to Ace's death. When Ace dies, the Straw Hats aren't beside Luffy. They don't see the moment happen. But somehow, that distance makes the scene even sadder, because each member receives the news alone, separated from each other, separated from their cap, completely powerless to help. And suddenly, they all realize the same terrifying thing at once. Luffy is suffering somewhere in the world, and none of them can reach him. Nami goes silent immediately. Zoro lowers his head quietly, almost like he already understands how deeply this loss is going to break Luffy emotionally. Sanji can't even hide the shock on his face. Chopper completely falls apart crying because he understands better than most people how emotionally fragile grief can make someone. Robin processes the pain quietly, like someone who already knows exactly what losing family does to a person internally. And Usopp understands immediately, because out of everyone in the crew, Usopp understands emotional pain the fastest. None of them know what to say, because there's nothing they can say. For once, the person who always carries everyone else emotionally is completely alone, and that realization terrifies them more than any enemy ever could, because for the first time in the story, the Straw Hat can't protect Luffy. Outro One Piece was never just about becoming stronger. It's about connection, about broken people slowly finding reasons to trust each other, about carrying pain together instead of alone, about finding family in places you never expected to. And these moments, they're the reason One Piece stays with people long after the fights are over.